addiction isn't the problem, it is the solution. And so the question becomes, what is it a solution for? And fundamentally, it's a solution for like all of those other things that I just mentioned. You know, like whenever I'm working with, for example, like a married couple, you know, like I never let them see me together, because the problem is not one another. As I go, like, forget about him for a minute, or forget about her for a minute. How are you with you? And they go, oh, I'm not too good. And I go then, all right. So this isn't really about, you know, you not being okay with you invariably will show up in these conversations with your partner, right? So
yeah.
So the thing that so I'll give you an example, right? So years and years ago, I didn't really understand what I just said to you. So I was like starting out and all that sort of stuff. And I worked with somebody around their health, who was the CEO. And I was largely just acting as their sort of like accountability buddy. They'd come and meet me once a week. They'd have to tell me what they ate and all this sort of stuff. And I have since sort of approximated that being someone's accountability buddy is rather stupid, because as soon as I go away, like the whole infrastructure of their health or whatever it ends up being sort of falls apart. And so anyway, so I was working with this person week on week. You know, like he was getting objectively progressively healthier, right? And but what ended up happening was our engagement came to an end for the time being, and invariably he backslid all the way back to basically where he was when we first started working together. The next time, right, years later, we started working together again, right? But this time I'd learned, and I said, okay, so these habits. I said, tell me about your career, tell me about your marriage, tell me about your kids, tell me about all this sort of stuff. And he started to share, and I said, tell me what you really want to be doing. And the thing for him, he actually wanted to be in sustainable agriculture and like farm to plate food, because his son has it might be celiac, it might be Hashimoto's or something like that. And he said, you know, and I think about all of the other kids out there who, you know, probably suffer the same, and I'd love to try and get that into schools. You know, like that was like like one thing that he wanted to do. And so anyway, so as we've been working on it, week on week, one of the things that has shown up is like a return in some ways to the conversations that we've had about his health. And I said, you know, if you fast forward into your vision into the future, you know, like, is there room in there for excessive drinking? Is there room in there for junk food? Is there room in there for whatever? And he went, oh no, that doesn't make sense at all. Not particularly not with what I'm trying to do. You know, and I said, right. And so like just by default, just being attached to a purpose that he finds really meaningful, that is anchored in contribution, you know, sort of all by itself, like his health is starting to take care of itself. And so that's really what I mean around like health is great. Health in the service of health in the service of a mission, I would argue, is inevitable. Yeah.
One thing that I see in my space is I work with a lot of parents as well. And there's this sort of misunderstanding of the nobility of self-sacrifice when it comes to certain things. You know, and a lot of them, they're with me because they're overweight, they're fatigued, their energy is low, they don't have, you know, good mental clarity throughout the day, and they've let their wellness habits go, right? They're not exercising, they're not eating well, they're kind of just barely getting by. And why? Because I'm prioritizing my kids, right? This is my selfless pursuit of giving all of my time to my family so that they can have all of me, because what else can I offer them? And it's like, well, if you're offering them a version of yourself that is far below the ideal version of you, like, is that what you want to be giving them? Or are you serving them better by taking some time for yourself to improve yourself so that when you are there for them, you show up at 100%? And there's a whole mindset shift there as well. And it's just kind of reprioritizing, right?